Yes, we're going to be making some home-style baked beans today. And one of the things I love about this recipe is it is customizable. If you want to add some of your own flavors to it, things you like, maybe you want to make it hot, put some jalapenos in it or anything, some hot sauce. I may put some hot sauce in it later, I'm not sure. This is a really great base recipe. And it is that traditional baking it in the oven after we get done on the stovetop. And we're gonna be spending quite a bit of time at the stove right now, so let's head over there. So I have 2 pounds of navy beans in here that are coming up to a boil. Now these soaked overnight, covered in water, and just sort of started the softening process. And what we're gonna do now that we're at a boil is we're gonna reduce the heat to a simmer. We just want these to simmer. And I've got them in my nice, heavy cast iron Dutch oven, the enameled one. Now we're gonna let those navy beans simmer for about 45 minutes. Then we're actually gonna drain them, and we're gonna reserve about 1.5 cups of that liquid that they're simmering in right now. And then once they're out of the pot, we're gonna get our other ingredients in there, get them ready before the beans go back in and everything goes into the oven. So I'll see you back here when these are done simmering and it's time to move on to the rest of our ingredients. All right, we've been simmering for 45 minutes. You can see that some of that liquid has sort of evaporated, boiled away. So I've turned that off. I'm gonna go ahead and drain those beans, and then we're gonna move on to getting the rest of our ingredients in this Dutch oven to get some great flavor. All right, our beans are out of the Dutch oven. I've got 1.5 cups of that bean water reserved. I also have a 32-ounce box of vegetable broth just standing by. I like to add that in lieu of more water. Now you could just add water if you need to, but if at any time during this cooking process we're going through for the next few hours, the water level drops too much and the beans are exposed too much before they're softened, you can just add hot water, or like I'm gonna do, heated up vegetable broth. Now before I get going on these ingredients, I'm gonna preheat my oven to 325 degrees. These are baked beans, and this whole Dutch oven is gonna go in there with the lid on as soon as we get these flavors all incorporated. First, let's fry up some bacon. I have 1 pound of bacon, and this is chunked up bacon. I made this bacon a month or so ago, froze it, vacuum sealed it, and I just took it out, thawed it, chopped it up. If you can get a whole piece of bacon from the butcher, just chop it up into cubes. Doesn't have to be tiny. This is gonna render down. It's gonna get really nice and soft as we bake this. So let's head back to the stove. And this bacon does not need to be cooked fully through here. It's gonna finish cooking as this pot of baked beans bakes in the oven. We just wanna get some flavor on this, some caramelization, a little bit of crispiness in spots. And you can make these pieces as large or as small as you want, doesn't matter. Any kind of bacon you want, any flavor. Even if you can only get slices, just chop up the slices, cook them up like this. All right, our bacon has been going for probably about 5 minutes here. And if you have too much grease left over in the bottom, just, get some of that out of there, leave maybe a tablespoon or so in there. All those nice brown bits, that's what we love. Now I'm gonna add 2 medium shallots that have been just roughly chopped up. And my heat right now is about medium low. Don't need it super hot here. We just want to soften up these shallots. Some people like to add garlic at this point. I prefer shallots. And some people like to add onion at this point. I prefer shallots. It's kind of a little bit of a mix of that garlicky, oniony flavor. But you can definitely add onion if you want. This is smelling great here. And you can make this bacon as crispy as you want, but it's going to soften as it bakes with all the liquid that's going in here. So just get it to the state you want. I want this just a little bit more with these shallots, maybe another 30 seconds to a minute. Now I'm gonna add 1 cup of tomato sauce. This is just tomato sauce, tomato puree, nothing else added in it, no spices, nothing. I want my heat down on low now. If you're using cast iron, it retains heat so well. You don't have to have this heat really high as you move along here. Now I'm going to add about 1/4 cup of molasses. I also want to get about 2 tablespoons of yellow mustard in here. We're just going to kind of eyeball this. About 1 tablespoon of Worcestershire sauce. Got 1 cup of brown sugar going in. I like dark brown sugar, but if you use light, no problem with that. Got 1/4 cup of apple cider vinegar. 2 teaspoons of smoked paprika, 1 teaspoon of a coarsely ground black pepper, 1 tablespoon of kosher salt. And now we're gonna get our beans back in here. We're gonna add that 1.5 cups of bean liquid. I wanna stir everything up here, and we're gonna add some of that vegetable stock. We wanna bring the liquid level up here, because what we're gonna do is bring this to a simmer for a few minutes before it goes in the oven, just to get everybody nice and heated up. Really good stir on this, get these liquids mixed in, get all the flavors mixed in. Everybody will have a chance to get to know each other in the oven as this is baking. We want to give it a head start here. So I'm going to add some vegetable stock now, just enough to bring the liquid level up. This is all by eye here. If I was to guess, I'd say that was maybe 3 cups. But we want to give enough liquid so that the beans, as they settle, are covered. Once this goes in the oven, we're gonna check it after an hour to see what our level is. And if we need to, we'll add some more vegetable stock, or you could add water. I'm gonna bring this up to a simmer. And as soon as that comes to a simmer, I'm gonna put the lid on, and it is going to go into the oven. And like I said, we're gonna check it after 2 hours. Usually this takes about 3 hours, but beans are different. Every time you do this can be a little longer, a little shorter. It's when they're tender and when you have that consistency you want. And we started with the tenderizing of this by having these soak overnight, and then we did a little bit of a simmer on it for 45 minutes after bringing it to a boil. We're bringing it back up to a simmer here, and now the oven is gonna finish it by bringing it to that state of tenderness that is so good in Homestyle Baked Beans. And remember how I said you could customize it, add flavors you want? And I said I might add some hot sauce? I'm gonna add some hot sauce. I don't know, maybe a tablespoon or so here. Just, kick it up a little bit, not too much. All right, as soon as this comes up to a simmer, the lid's going on, and it's gonna be going in the oven. All right, our beans have been in the oven baking for an hour. Let's see how they're doing. Oh, look at that. Let's give these a stir, see how they're doing. I think we're doing pretty good on liquid. I think I'll add just a little bit, I don't know, 1/2 cup, maybe a cup. You can just see the beans are getting a little exposed when we stir them here. And if you kind of tap these as you're stirring, you can almost feel the beans tapping back. They're not tender enough yet. Still have a little bit to go. A couple more hours at least. But look at those. So I'm gonna add probably about 3/4 of a cup of that vegetable stock that I've warmed up here. You can just warm it up in the microwave so it's not ice cold, just helps not bring the temperature way down on this. But let's get our lid back on, get this back in the oven, and we'll check it again in another hour. Okay, it has been 2 hours now that our beans have been baking. Let's take a look. Ah, nice. Just love those big pieces of bacon in there. Beans are looking good. And I can feel when I do this, they're still not tender enough, but they're not quite as tappy as they were before. There's not quite as much sound coming back from them. So they are starting to soften. What you can do is take one, go up against the side of the thing and press it, and you'll just see they are starting to smash, but they definitely need more time. I think it's gonna need at least 1 more hour, maybe even more. Remember, beans are really unpredictable. You can't always just predict it's gonna be 2 hours or 3 hours or 4 hours when you're doing this method. Definitely wanna add some more liquid here. I'm gonna put another 3/4 of a cup of our vegetable stock, or vegetable broth, whatever you wanna call it. Just give that a quick little stir. Let those beans settle in there, and we'll get our lid on and get these back in the oven. And we'll come back and check those in another hour. 3 hours down, let's check our beans and see how they're doing. Ah, that is looking good. Every time we open this, these look even better. Really taking on that baked bean color now. Look at that. Feeling a lot softer. Let me just push up against the side there. I'm not sure. Actually gonna take a little taste here and see how these are. Let's see how tender they are. Those are pretty good. I don't think they need a full hour beyond this. I think maybe 30 more minutes, so that's what we'll do, but I wanna add a little bit more of my vegetable broth. This is about half a cup this time. We'll just stir that in. One of the nice things about doing this in the oven, because you're not using direct heat, is you're not getting any beans or any of that liquidy sauce stuff burned on the bottom. The heat is all encompassing in the Dutch oven here. So it just surrounds these beans rather than scorching them on the bottom over a direct flame. Now you can definitely cook these on the stove over a low flame. People do that all the time. You can cook them in a slow cooker, in a pressure cooker, an Instant Pot, something like that. But I just like something about doing this sort of the old traditional way in a cast iron Dutch oven, in the oven, actually baking them. It's just a fun way to do it. And you get terrific flavor, and these are looking really good. Now I just want to also get a quick taste right now for salt and pepper. Let's just see if we need to add anything. To me, that tastes just right, spot on. It doesn't need any more salt, any more pepper. It's just got a really nice flavor to it. So let's get the lid back on and give it 30 more minutes. All right, 3.5 hours later, I think we are done. Let's go ahead and have a look. Oh yes, look at that. And I can feel just by moving the spoon through here that these are tender. Oh. Now, as I mentioned, if you wanted to customize these, let's say when you put them in the oven, when you were mixing things together before that, you could add barbecue sauce, turn these into some barbecue baked beans. There's so many things you can do with this. It's like the perfect base for you to add anything you want. It is just an amazing recipe and a simple one. All right, I'm gonna let this cool for maybe 5 minutes just sitting here, and then I'm gonna dish some up so we can have a taste. So I've transferred a good amount of beans into this serving dish. Now let's get some in a bowl and have a taste. See if I can do this without making a mess. If there is a mess, it will be a tasty mess. Love those big pieces of bacon in there. Basically just like pork and beans, but we got bacon. And as I mentioned, this was bacon I made. It was homemade bacon. I'll put a link in the video description to that video and also up in the corner of this video. There was some good bacon. And I still got some frozen and vacuum sealed. All right, I'm going in. Let's get some beans and some of that bacon in there too. A nice mix of everything. Cheers. Yeah, you can buy a can of beans and they're gonna taste good. But let me tell you, you make it yourself, there's something ultra satisfying about doing that, especially when they turn out like this. The key here is letting the beans have the time to tenderize. You can take them out earlier, but they're just not gonna be tender. You've gotta let the beans tell you when it's done. This could have taken me another hour. For whatever reason, these beans were 3.5 hour beans. I've made 5-hour beans before, and they tasted great, just like these.